Hi, ladies. How are you? This is Maria from Pause Alchemy of Women. Welcome to our 20th podcast. I'm super excited. I can't believe I have 20 podcasts. So today I wanted to come live and talk about something that is a problem during menopause and as we grow older, which is this theme of mood swings. And it's kind of frustrating because, you know, in media and TV and all these things, like the mood swings of the menopausal woman is the butt of a lot of jokes. We're mad and then we're sad and then we're happy and then, and it is a really real thing, and it does have to do a lot with the hormonal changes that are going on in menopause. So it's not just estrogen or progesterone, but it's really this dance of hormones and how everything is moving together at this time. And we're moving towards, especially in perimenopause, things, estrogen will go up, then it'll go down, and so it's really this recalibrating of our systems is how, it's not just like, oh, everything's going down. It's everything is sort of out of whack. And as it moves back into a balance, even though things are lower, things usually seem to even out. But so the mood swings are a very real hormonal event. And do they really have no basis is the question that has come up for me, So is it really just if the hormonal issue was not going on, would it be that everything would just be fine? Or is it just that estrogen and progesterone are out of balance on this day and I feel really mad or really sad or really annoyed? And I started thinking about that. And I really don't believe that to be true. Now, of course, it's a trigger, right? It's something that brings our normal balance out of whack. And then something comes in that annoys us. And maybe we explode in a way that we normally wouldn't. And actually, next week, I'll be having a podcast with a woman named Juanita, who just wrote a book about anger. And so we're going to get into that topic. But this is just about the changes in general. And I just wonder, do these mood swings only have a basis in hormones? Now, sometimes maybe they do. But for me, this time in life can be really stressful or difficult in a way where I feel like years ago that wasn't the case. So, for instance, women are working in general, but women are working later in their careers. They're having children later, so they might have young children at home. I just had a friend of mine who is in her early 40s and just had a baby. I said, just because you have an infant doesn't mean you shouldn't be starting to think about perimenopause because it's on its way, right? And so having an infant and going into perimenopause, of course, is going to put more stress on you than your kids are out of the house. But even that, kids leaving the house, being alone with your partner, maybe again, anxiety, depression, and the sleeplessness that can often come with this time, really can add a lot of stress to our lives. And this angry, upset menopausal woman that is the butt of a lot of jokes, like I said, it's frustrating to me because women are taught from a very young age, for instance, and like I said, we're going to talk about this a lot next week, but to not express our anger, to not show our frustration because it's not ladylike, for instance. And, if you cry too much, you're too emotional, and I've been told since I was a kid, I'm too sensitive. Like, what does that even mean? I don't even know. You could be too sensitive, but something like anger, for instance, shows us where our boundaries are. So if there's something that is upsetting you and you get angry, it's because it's your body's way of saying no. And a lot of these, I'm going to post a meme about this later, maybe. Most of the major emotions have a different emotion below it. Anger, for instance, is showing you where you need to say no. Sadness can be fear or grief, a deeper grief. And So these ideas of mood swings that are purely hormonal, I disagree with because I find that, say, for instance, your partner is not doing anything around the house or not helping you with your kids or not supporting you in a way that you would like to be supported, and it's a pattern. And because of this hormonal fluctuations, perhaps you have a shorter fuse, but you're getting mad at a very real thing that maybe you're mad at for years, or maybe something is making you really sad that you hadn't thought about. And because of the hormonal changes, that is really triggering, really emotional feelings inside of you. And so I just don't believe that they're purely hormonal. So when, I was doing a little research in the earlier today, and people are talking about, like, what do I do about controlling anger? What do I do about kind of repressing my emotions during menopause? And I think menopause is really designed to not give us the ability to repress our emotions anymore, because especially as women, we're taught to, be good girls, don't get mad. Like I said, don't cry too much, don't have too many feelings, don't get too big, don't say too much. And at least, in the US, it feels that way. And I think these hormonal changes are just sort of the catalyst for us to be who we really are, to feel how we really feel. And finally, for once and for all in our lives, say what we want to say. Like, I want to say no. I don't want to say yes. I don't feel like doing that. I don't like that thing. And, this always, I kind of try and talk about different themes, but it keeps coming back to this piece of self-care. And, of course, I like to talk about the no fucks left to give, but in the way of, I have had enough and this isn't working for me anymore. And finally, for once in my life, I have the courage, and maybe it's hormonally induced, but I have this ability to say no, to say, I don't like that person. I don't like how they're doing this. I don't like how you're treating me. I deserve more. I deserve better, et cetera. All of these things that I think the hormones are just allowing us to have this, by way of feeling a little bit out of control sometimes, to really say the things that are inside of us, and the things that maybe have been inside of us since we were teenagers or 10 years old or something. So I just wanted to come again and do a little short podcast on that. And like I said, I'll have an interview next week where we'll go deeply into talking about anger and what that means and how to express it in healthful ways and all the things that Juanita wants to talk about with me. And so I'd love to know what you think. And if you've had the experience where you have a quote unquote mood swing, but really it's something that you feel like perhaps you haven't wanted to put up with or you haven't wanted to deal with, and how this hormonal shift allowed you to open up to this emotion that maybe you were repressing for a lot of your life. And I would love to know if you've experienced mood swings, and when you've noticed, like, oh, but that's actually something I've been pissed about for a long time or sad about for a long time, and how you ladies feel about that. So thank you so much. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have a great day. See you next week.